All right, we are live. What's going on, fellow traders? Let me get this tweet out real quick. Pardon me. I hope everybody had a great trading day today. It was Monday, and here we are taking a look at the SPX, the S&P Cash Index. So we have last month. This is the monthly chart right here. We had a monthly hammer, right? So very bullish. If we kind of go back, we had an inside month, right? Broke to the upside, gave you the spinning top, then a momentum hammer right here and breaks to the upside, and then boom, we hit all-time highs today a couple times, right? Just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally took out the prior all-time highs. Back over here. So there we go. We did it. So now what? Right. So at all-time highs, there's not a lot of supply, up here, right? So, just now the market is kind of in this, touchy territory. We're going to get, fresh new flows. Tomorrow's the last day of the month. They're going to, continue to push this epic historic run of a year. Higher. They certainly could. They have some obstacles to go over. The futures are red right now, especially the Nasdaq is down because of Google. Google's down almost 100 points. The expected move was 40 points, and it's down almost 100 points from its close, so after hours. So pretty nasty. We'll take a look at that a little bit later, I'm sure. Let me just check in here, make sure everybody's tuning in okay. Good, good, good. What's going on, everybody? So there's your monthly chart right there. So we take a look at the weekly right now. Obviously, we had a very choppy day, so that shows the week here being choppy. It's only at 10.17 days. So, and what did it do? It gave us a topping tail at the upper Bollinger Band, albeit the Bollinger Bands are starting to get a little bit tight, but not too bad. Also the RSI is overbought. So this is a pretty decent reversal opportunity. So this is when you close, especially when you close above the upper Bollinger Band and the RSI is overbought, that's super reversal, but this is still a reversal bar there. So just something to keep in mind as we go into tomorrow, especially with the futures down. Now, I personally think even if you just take a look at the S&P futures, only down 5. Personally, I think we just kind of chop tomorrow. The market's probably waiting on Apple for the most part. Apple's one of the highest weighted stocks on the index, and Google's not really going to push the S&P. Now, it could mess with the Nasdaq tomorrow, but S&P is probably going to be choppy until Apple puts out its earnings. So we'll see how that goes. If we just take a real quick look at the price action on the 5-minute chart. This has got today's levels, the floor pivot levels. So if you're a member of the newsletter, you get access to the free private. Oh, I'm sorry, you get access to the private Twitter feed, which is free for subscribers and newsletter subscribers. And we look at S&P a lot during the day. I'll take trades if it makes sense. I didn't do anything today. It was pretty choppy action, but there was some interesting possibility, potential. So we had a continuation from the Marubozu bar on Friday into today, and then it came right up to the R2 level, right? I give this I give this out free to members, every night, every market night, and so we had a reversal bar right there at the R2 level, and then it came back and closed yesterday's gap, right? And it did that with a reversal bar, right? Long lower shadow, right? And then it gave you a belt hold bar, inside bar, and then breaks to the upside. So that's, right here, this 29.42 break was good up to 29.46. Only a 4-point move, right? But pretty decent, for the day. Other than that, it came back in kind of bull flag-ish, kind of chopped around, and then back up to the next level, right? Here, right? So this is your R1 level, and then held that, came above it, right? And then hit the upper Kelter channel on that, and then came back down. So pretty boring day here, but we did some great swing trade ideas from the newsletter, and so those were some of our trades today. So they look pretty good. That being said, let's just take a real quick look here and just see what the bar charts look like on the bigger picture, so we can kind of get an idea of the flow. So we had, obviously all through 2018, we had this channel. See these yellow lines right here? That was your channel through 2018. Hit a double top up here, came down, hit the lower in the channel, test the mid level, back up, down, and then generated our pitchfork here. So it gave us a macro pitchfork area to see where we're at. So we pushed all-time highs today. We're starting to poke the head over the median upper pitchfork midline and into this kind of all-time high resistant zone. So it held on pretty well. Again, like I'd say, if we get some consolidation and Apple earnings are good, I would expect that we continue to move up into the 3,000. So which would be pretty wild. So that's pretty much how the S&P is looking right now. If we end up pivoting here, it is possible to still fill that gap that is open at 2836.03. So just a little ominous gap right there too. So we have that as well. Let's just take a look at Google real quick. I just tweeted out something pretty interesting. A couple things. So Google's been moving really interesting. And this is actually going to be our discussion today when we talk about, we're kind of going over option trades and swing trades with options. We talk about, like the right deltas to use when we see a setup that we like, and, and we work with that. So, so here, what we have, right, is before we get into that topic, so Google pushed to its all-time highs today, and it pushed outside of the fib fan, right? The fib fan line here, and it was working its way up this channel, which we noted too, previously here. And so what it's doing is it's gapping down. So let's take a look here how that looks. Oh, nasty. So not fun at all. So it actually had good earnings, just bad, bad guidance, and then it, just can't push it down. So 1196 it hit. So you're about 1200 right here. So if we go back to this chart here, so at about 1200, where are we at? We're at the pitchfork median line and a fib fan line. So you have confluence right here. So this is a really good area for support, right? And the only thing that is really interesting is if we zoom in here, and we'll talk about this pennant break in a moment, is that there is an open gap right there at 1183.97. And we've talked about gaps before and trading gaps, and gaps do, there's so much volatility in it and so much action that they like to fill gaps that are nearby. And so if we gap down here around 1200, right, the chances are there's going to be folks that are just, caught in this and are just dumping their shares right at the open, right? So that usually causes it to push down. Then there's going to be some shorts who want to push it down as well. So chances are we fill that gap tomorrow. At that point, right, everybody's dumped their shares. The people who are shorting, right, start to cover their shares, and guess what happens? It starts to go back up. And then the bottom feeders come in, and I'll go ahead and raise my hand that I'm one of them, right? So it's a great place to start, trying to make some profits, right, on this on the snapback. So I'm not looking to fill any sort of gap tomorrow, but the earnings were good. I mean, the guidance was bad, but I mean, it's not like the stock is like going out of Google's going out of business anytime soon. So I would expect there to be some sort of reversal, maybe. I mean, we'll see, but let's just do like a Fibonacci retracement here real quick. So we're up here, right? It'll probably gap down to like 1200. So let's just say it fills that gap at 1183 and some change. Let's just say there. Okay, so it is reasonable, right? After the gap is filled, that we could push up to the 23.6% retracement, right? And that would bring it all the way to 1210. So that's we could see a 40-point move to the upside tomorrow, and that would actually be pretty bullish for everything, because a lot of stocks would probably follow along with it on the Nasdaq. And the Nasdaq might actually become green tomorrow. So and that would give it a pretty big move. And if Apple is strong, then Apple is on all three indexes. It's on the Dow, it's on the Nasdaq, and it's on the S&P. And if Apple is strong, it could be pretty interesting going in. We could really reach the 3,000 mark in the S&P. So if we go to Apple real quick, let's just take a look and see how it's looking. Okay, just kind of a little bit of a consolidation day here. Hopefully I'll get my fib arcs up. So so we gapped down, we tested the lower end of the fig arc, we held it, and we tested the top side today. So if we have a good big day tomorrow, we could get through this mid pitchfork level, and it could start working its way up, right? All the way back to its all-time highs, which I'm sure it is missing being there. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. So it should be really, really interesting for the overall market. So so Apple is on deck, and we'll see if they have any tricks up their sleeve for tomorrow. So at this point, I want to go and talk a little bit more about trades. And so we started talking about this yesterday with Amazon, right? Whether you take a trade or not, right? It's important if you see a big move, or if you see a big move over time, is to really look at it and study it and identify what it is, what pattern was there that maybe you could have caught or you could catch if you see it next time. And then you can start back testing that pattern and see what the probability of success is with it. I tweet out some links to in the private Twitter feed with good percentages of setups that that could work, that give you a higher chance or at least a consideration when taking a trade. So we recently we're in a trade right now with a Morningstar reversal, and that has a high probability of working out. So so we'll see how that ends up. So that being said, let's take a look at Google. So Google And I'm not talking about trading to earnings. Again, guys, I never recommend trading to earnings, right? I mean, basically, we call them lottos, right? Lottos are basically gambling. You don't care if you lose the money. It's just an attempt, right? But they end up losing more than they win. So that's why they call it a lotto, right? So that's one possibility. So if you don't like throwing money away, no sense in doing that. And then the only way I recommend it, we've talked about this a couple times, when do you hold into earnings? And so when you're swinging a stock, what you want to do is if you have enough options, right? You hold on to a percentage of those options that are completely free. They're completely paid for with the trade. And then you can hold those into options. And if it keeps working, right, then you just take advantage of that. And if it fails, it doesn't matter. You've already paid for it with the profits of the trade anyway, right? So we'll take a look at that today. So that being said, let me just double check here, make sure everything's coming through. Okay, good. We accidentally got cut off a little bit early last night, but I guess it's all good. We all got a little bit more sleep. So look at that. Okay, so you have like triple confluence right here. Actually, quadruple confluence. Okay, these are whenever you see something like that, it's just like you have to take that trade, right? And then once you identify your risk, how much you're risking on it, you have to take that trade, right? So I mean, otherwise, what are we doing, right? So anyway, from the highs to the low, the 61.8 retracement is a key level. Right, so that came down here on this falling wedge pennant, right? And this pennant was right off of the channel, right? So it came right down to the channel. It came right to a mid pitchfork line, which is a key level. It came right to a fib arc line, a more macro fib arc line, and it came to the bottom of the channel and to the Fibonacci. That's 4 areas of confluence. Plus you have a pennant setup, right? So the pennant setup is just this, basic consolidation move, and it's basically like a flag. If it breaks to the upside, looks good. So this occurred, I think we even flagged this in the Twitter stream at, March 28th. Okay, so let's take a look at March 28th and see what we would do. So now let's plan ahead here. So let's say we're at, let me go to the, let's go to the daily right here. We'll go to March 28th. Okay, sorry, it's a little bit crazy. Let me take off all the stuff again. Studies, remove all studies. Just clean up the chart a little bit for you. Okay, there we go. So we'll keep the drawings on there. We'll just take all the cloud stuff off and everything. Okay, so here we are, right? So we get down, we come down, we're at this, quadruple confluence level, and we're like, okay, I'm going to trade a break of this to the upside. So we go to the next day. So this was March 28th. We go to the next day. All right, we've broken out of this pennant top, okay? So here we might want to look to put on a position. We put a stop here at the bottom, okay? And so when you're trading options, we looked at this yesterday, we'll go to the option chart and see what that looks like. So where's our goal? Where's our target? Well, our next target is, and we talked about this yesterday, is the next pivot level up. So here's a big pivot up here, right? So we want to get to say 1235, right? The high there was like 1236, so let's go 1235. So that's my goal, and I want to get there in, let's see, it's March 29th, so it's April. Let's get there by May 17th, okay? So these are expensive, right? And we're going to look at in the money and out of the money stuff, but in the money being safer because it has intrinsic value, right? Okay, so let's go to trade. Actually, I don't need to go to trade. I can just plug it in. I'll just do it right here while we're at it. So let's say we go to the May 17th, and what I say, 1235s. Is that what I said? 1235? Yeah, 1235. So we go there. And let's see how these behaved. Okay, we can copy that. Show the option chart there. Okay, so 329, we put a position on. Let's see how much they cost at the time. Okay, so let's zoom forward on that. All right, so what we got? 329. All right, so here's what did I say? 328, 320. Yeah, so 329. Is that what I said? Yeah. So this is the day that we broke out of the channel, or broke out of the pennant, okay? So if you get in here and you have, these are out of the money calls, okay? So what you do is you enter here and then you basically put your stop below here. So let's say at 18. So let's say we entered some here. Let's just say worst case scenario, we entered at 19, just say 1950 or something like that. So 19, okay? And the low of the day was 1849. So you set your stop at 18, right? Something 1825, something where you're below, those levels, right? And then you're $1,900, and you're about $2,500 on this one. So not a bad place. But if you have, let's assume you have 10 options, okay? And so your initial investment was 19,500, okay? And your stop was at 18,000. Let's say 200, okay? So your total risk is how much on this trade? So you're risking $1,300. Okay. So $1,300 is your total risk on these options, okay? Because you can set your stops with thinkorswim. Now there might be a little, Google's a little bit spready. So let's say you get filled. Worst case scenario, you get filled at let's say 1750. So you give it an extra. So most of you're risking $2,000, right? So you have to know your risk first and what you're risking. So if that 2,000, we're just looking at if you can afford the $2,000, right? And it doesn't affect you, it doesn't hurt you, okay? So now you have 10 of those invested, okay? All right, so we move up, we gap up right here, okay? So now you're basically at $24,500, okay? Or let's just say, yeah, $24,500, okay? So you've just made, okay, $5,000, right? Okay, so you've already doubled your risk threshold, right? So you're risking essentially at most $2,500, and you just made $5,000 on that trade. Okay, so at this point, right, you can sell half of your options, right? And your risk is completely covered now. Okay, so now you have 5 calls left. Okay, does that make sense? 5 calls left, and you've banked $2,500, which was your total possible risk on that trade, right? Unless it gapped down or something crazy, but we're not trading into earnings here, right? So at this point, you now have 5 left, okay? And you can let those ride, right? And so we continue to do that. Let's see. So what happens next? Okay. Well, we have a flat day the next day, but some volume's coming in. Okay. Volume bars coming in. Okay. We gap up even more. Okay. Now you're at I want to say, let's just say, $15,000 right there. Okay. So that's a pretty big, pretty decent jump right there. Okay. So we're in from $19,000 up to $30,000. Okay. And then half of that. So $7,000 right there. Something like that. Okay. And then there, right. And then really all you have to do is just, okay. So this is your pullback. Okay. At this point here, this is a good spot. This gap down right here is scary enough that you can take your profit at 27,000, right? But we go back. Let's go back to the let's go back to the chart. Okay, that was your trade. Okay, so you made you see you had 5 all the way up to 20 to 25. Okay, so from 19. So say you stopped out there. Okay, so 5,000. So you made, you made a little over $3,000 on that trade. Okay, so that was good. Or you could have just, taken the profit elsewhere, right? Or taken the profit earlier. Okay, so let's go back to the daily one more time. And where was I? Are my drawings here? Hello. All right. Now it gives us one more setup. Sorry, this thing's a little bit slow. It gives us one more setup. Okay. It had. Now I believe this was this was the double inside day on Google. Okay, and it broke to the downside. And then it gave us another consolidation area, right? Another pennant at the channel line. And I tweeted this out several times that this was had a high propensity of going up. Okay. At this point, one more time, right? We look at this. All right. So we look at the break. Let's say we trade here on 411. Now we could do the 1235s again. Okay. And so we do the 1235s again, and we see where that goes. Let me see if that works here. Okay. Because the 1235s, we still didn't hit our pivot point here. Okay, so this is from 411. 3,000, so you're about, let's say, $5,000 in the trade. So, you could, that could be your risk on this. So we go to, where are we, 411. Okay, so we buy it for, I don't know why this is doing this. I don't know why it's not much. Let's just say we buy it here on the breakout. So we buy it 28. All right, we do another 10 here, okay? And then, well, let's look at our stop. Okay, so we're risking, that would be risking 100%. So we don't have to do 10 there. But the idea is your stop would be here below this previous low. So you'd be just below the low there of 23.20. Okay, so you enter here. Okay, and this is the point where you're trading basically into earnings, right? So let's just say you got 10 and you risk everything you earned here. Say you risk $5,000 in the entire trade. Okay, you really like to sit up. You're really bullish on Google, and we were, right? We were. So so that makes sense. Okay, so we have 10 here. So we're investing, let's just say $28,000. Okay, with a $5,000 risk. Okay, next day is up to 30, so you're up $5,000. Okay, here up another 3. Okay, keep going up to 40. Okay, gave a little bit of a pullback here, ended up at 45. Gaps up again to 55. Right here. Okay, we're all the way up to $68,000, okay, from this. So at this point, right, this is a pretty amazing trade. At this point, we have earnings the next day, okay? So what do, right, before we go to earnings? We um, have plenty of profit built up, right? So we have $68,000, okay? Let's say we're at the highs and that we decided to close before earnings. Okay, you have $68,000. We invested a total of $28,000. Okay, so if we sold the majority of them, even if we sold half of them and we had five left into earnings, we'd still have a profit of $30,000. Okay, and then even if we lost these, even if we had calls into earnings that went completely to zero, right? We would they would still completely pay for themselves, right? So at that point, you don't really want to, you don't want to break even on this trade. So you hold, one or two into earnings, right? So at that point, you've banked, $50,000 on the trade, right? And then the rest of it, you just let it ride. And if it goes to zero, it goes to zero, and you still made $50,000 on the trade, right? Okay. So just a quick review. This is trading a pennant on Google. The first entry was quadruple confluence, okay, and at fib fan line, at a channel, at the pitchfork line, and at a ultimate break to the upside, which gave all this follow through into earnings, right? So whenever we go into earnings, we only want to hold into earnings what we can afford, absolutely can afford to lose, and that's what we call them freebies, right? We bank our profits at whatever's left over, right? You could afford to go to zero and you'd still have nice profits left over. So this is a big example. I mean, trading 10, everybody's risk thresholds are different. So, trading $50,000 worth of stuff is, a lot, but you get the idea. You could scale it down. If it was a dollar, you could trade $1,000 worth of it. And then instead of making, 30,000, you make 3,000, right? And then you bank, $2,800 of it. You carry, let's say, $200 of it left. Into earnings, and if it goes to zero, you still made $2,500. So that's the idea. That's really the idea. So it's here's another winning trade. It's how we look at it, how we manage it, and how we ride it into earnings. So hope you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please plug those into the chat window, and we'll get to those hopefully before. Well, we only have 5 minutes, so we'll get through as many as we can. I'll try to get maybe 2 or 3 each, because so everybody gets a turn before I guess before we lose power or whatever the case is. So anyway, so here we go. Jay, what's going on? How are you? Good to see you. Shirley, welcome. Good to see you as always. Manoj, how's it going? Okay, let's take a look at BA and Google. We just looked at Google, so we know we have that open gap down there, right? All right, hold on. What's going on with this? Let's go default. Strange. Oh, let me put my studies back on here. Hold on one second. We are crashing my thinkorswim. You gotta be kidding me. All right, give it a second, guys. Overloading it. And it might just crash anyway. All right, here we go. Yay, it came back. All right, so let me just load a couple things here. Load daily. Here. Ah. Sorry, guys. One second. Just cleaning this up real quick. Sorry. I need to set a better default. Goodness gracious. Just remove those side plots there. Oh, there we go. A little bit cleaner. Okay. So here we are. Okay, on Boeing. So Boeing's been really interesting, right? So it has obviously the big back down. It's been working its way through this cloud here, right? So it had a little bit rough earnings, but not so bad. But here it is having trouble getting back up through the cloud, right? So it's starting to get thinner here. It retested the top of it today and kind of came back in and is holding a couple different levels here. I think these are from a prior discussion. Give me one second. Remove and remove. Okay, so at this point, right, we have we had an inside day yesterday or on Friday, and then today it tried to take the inside day to the upside and failed, and then pushed it to the downside. Okay, so this is a southern doji right here. It's looking really bearish off of that inside day, right? So it looks like it might want to test a little bit lower, say like 372, something like that. So. And then we looked at Google. Obviously, we have that gap now at 1183. To me, it looks like it would probably want to fill that before reversing. So I could definitely see that happening as well. So good stuff. Thanks, Manoj. Stacy, how's it going? Daily candle on Boeing. Yeah, so here's the day. So here we are. So the daily candle on Boeing. And that's basically what we're looking at, right? So it's you can see we have this pitchfork line right here. There's a definite possible target. Anytime you see an inside day, right, we look to trade it to the upside or downside, right? So here's an inside day right here. It breaks to the upside, so that's 377 to 384, right? Here's another inside day, breaks to the downside, so that's 377 to 372, right? Now we have an inside day, tried to break to the upside, failed, tagged the cloud, and came back in and started to break to the downside. It runs out a lot of steam, right? Anytime we reclaim an entire prior day, it runs out of energy, right? So so it pushes down to the downside, and here we are, at the run out of energy, but now starting to test the break of the downside right here. So this is really a continuation move of a break of the inside day to the downside. So this is looking, pretty bearish, right? I mean, the bulls ended up winning because we finished green, but it doesn't mean a break here of the lows of the day. Can't push to, let's say, so we're at 376, another possible push to 372, and if that pushes, it might want to test that pitchfork level down here, right? So we'll just see what how that holds, right? There's a changeover in the cloud here. A lot of times that could show an inflection point, but not always. So just something to keep in mind. So, but there you go. So that's the daily candle there. And what else? Manoj, what's up? ABCD XYZ. Loving the analysis every day. Hey, my pleasure. This is fourth time here. That I know. I always enjoy it when you come. Thanks. Yeah. Keep on stopping by. It's fun. Robbie, what's going on? NVIDIA, Tesla, and AMAT. Okay, so NVIDIA has kind of been on the short radar a little bit just after its gap down, but this gave us an inside day. Okay, and this is actually a good place to put some alerts on. I'm not going to spend the time doing that, but a break to the upside could start to fill this gap here. A break to the downside could start filling the gap below it. In fact, actually, I will put an alert on that because I think a break to the upside could be pretty strong. So I'm going to put an alert there. Inside day. Break gap above. Okay. Awesome. So I mean that's pretty much what we're looking at, right? And then a tail fail here could cause a tail fail here, and then eventually test the cloud down here about 170. So so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how the Qs react to Google at the open tomorrow. This should be pretty interesting. So Tesla. You gotta love Tesla, right? Everybody's bearish on it. Excuse me. Everybody's bearish on it right after earnings, right? And that's just the perfect time for it to attempt a reversal, right? And what did it do? It gave us an inside day today. So pretty interesting stuff. If this breaks to the upside, this could get pretty bullish too, right? Let's just take a look at the weekly Keltner area, right? It tagged the lower Keltner last week, and they got basically the inside week right now. But a push to the upside could give a move to the mid, right? Now, I don't like doing longs in a downtrend. But for a potential scalp off of the inside day up, I think it has some potential there on Tesla. Otherwise, it doesn't really have any real support until I think like let's go down here. Doesn't find real support until, see, it's starting to hold it, trying to test that support line again. Doesn't really have support until like 180. So it needs to hurry up and work its way back up maybe to that volumetric level at like 186. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure they've got stuff up there. So, Elon's got stuff up his sleeve. So we'll see. AMAT, interesting one. Okay, so this is we've been kind of looking at this one. We have a longer term pitchfork here. Really pretty bold right here. You can see how that median line, see how that held that area right there is supporting a gap through it. So that works well. So we came down, tested, working its way back up. At this point, I would just do a trend line and just kind of track it and see. Right, so far so good, and right, bullish until proven otherwise, right? Might come back, get down, and retest like 42, but that's probably a good place to buy, especially if you get a reversal bar or something like that. And eventually, I think a good target is this gap, right? This kind of 47 gap, and then the mid, the pitchfork median line, 56. So a couple things to look at there. Harvey, what's going on? ABCDXYZ, have Amazon 2000 weekly options. Any hopes on it? Gosh, Amazon got a little beat up today, like after the big move. But the good thing about it is that the premiums were pretty good, and you've got the 2000s on it. So let's take a look at the chart there. Okay, let's go Amazon. All right, so Amazon, yeah, huge push. This is why it's tough, right? It's always tough to buy continuation trades, right? So you have these big moves, and then just have it keep going. The key was we had an inside week here, right? And we flagged this too in the on Twitter, and these are the type of things we look at in the newsletter too. But that inside week break to the upside, was pretty strong, right? We got a nice follow through at that. At this point, okay, so it failed to take the hammer to the upside, right? But there is a chance, right? I mean, it does have plenty of space to go till it gets to its all-time highs, right? So it's very possible it could pull back here to this 1125 area on the fib fan, kind of test like the that prior day's open area, and then it may push for you, right? So if it does, I hope so, right? Then you could easily get to 2000, I think. So in general, bullish until proven otherwise, right? So we just had this pullback today. Doesn't mean it's bearish. It just might be consolidating, right? This might be one of those opportunities to eventually get in on a some sort of pennant type structure at the fib fan line, just like we were talking about. So you might have like a day or two down, which is no fun if you have calls, but then a break to the upside, right, could give you that push that you need, right? So, and if Apple is good, then Amazon would probably follow it, right? But it is kind of gambly, right? Yeah, kind of going into that. So, fingers are crossed for you on that one, definitely. So, I'm totally rooting for you on it. So let's see. So QCOM, let's take a look at that. Okay, so QCOM, wow, guys, this just has been just so ridiculously bullish. Yeah, I guess after they settled, let's see, we got 5-1 is earnings, so it's got earnings coming up, so just be careful with that. So this big gap up right here was the settlement with Apple, right? And then inside day, so that inside day break was pretty strong. That's a good place to go long, right? You take that, and then eventually it gapped over. This is your next key level, the high of the gap high, the initial gap high, right, usually gives another push to the upside. So that was really, if you caught the inside day break, that's 80, and it went all the way up to 88 before it just started kind of stalling out, right? I imagine it'd probably stall out until earnings. At this point, it's hard to really say. Just because they settled with Apple doesn't mean that they were profitable, right? Now, they may become more profitable, but this might be a good opportunity for that to actually fill the gap kind of down here, consolidate a little bit, and then work its way back up, right? So just something to keep in mind. Osama, what's going on? Boeing, we just took a look at Boeing pretty in depth, and we looked at NVIDIA. So let's take a look at Netflix. Ooh, Netflix is looking nice. Okay, so we have an inside day. Okay, and this is actually should be really good. You could probably trade this pretty well with the direction of the Qs, right? So that's what we want to do tomorrow is kind of look and see how the direction of the Qs is going. If it's going down, an inside day break to the downside on Netflix could bring us down to this 363 level, right? Maybe get a little bit of support down there at the cloud. It's also your basically your 50-day moving average too. So that is very, very possible. If Google rallies and it pushes the market up with it, then you have an inside day break to the upside, at which point maybe upper Bollinger Band or this pivot. So you've got 381 as a potential target and 384. So yeah, so it looks pretty good. I like that inside day a lot. Kalsal, what's going on? Good day. Can we take a look at Hun? You want Hone this time or Hun from like the HUN? We'll look at Honeywell. Oh, you asked for Hun yesterday. That is funny. Well, you got a good analysis on what was it, Huntsman or something like that. So hopefully it was helpful. But it was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good. So Honeywell, let's take a look at this one. Well, Honeywell, you didn't miss much, on this one. So we had a bullish day yesterday, nice consolidation, belt hold bar today. It is a bit of a topping tail, so not unlike the market. This one looks like it's following the market pretty well. So, but if it, obviously if it breaks today's lows, it could push, down to like 170. If it breaks the upside, well, it looks like it's also kind of at its like all-time high type thing. So just be careful up there, right? So, but this is very bullish. This gave you the same thing too, right? It had an inside day, right? Break that inside day to the upside, and you get momentum to break the gap high of 169.86, and that gave you your push to 171, right? And then you have this pause here. That's pretty good profit from 169 all the way up to 171, right? And then it's kind of consolidated, a little bit of a bull flag right here, and then breaking the upside. This could be a pause day and then another push to the upside. You just have to be careful when there's not a lot of volume up here, right? You don't want to be caught buying at the highs, right? So cool. I'm glad we got to take a look at it though. My pleasure. Dylan, what's up? What are my thoughts on the Slack IPO? I think it is. It's going to be great. No, we'll see. So let's take a look at Pinterest, right? So Pins has been pretty phenomenal. I really want to. Wow. Okay, so inside day here was really the key entry, right? So inside day break to the upside, right? And then just had this phenomenal follow through today. I think this could go a little bit higher. You can see I've got an alert up here. My kind of first target is 40 to get to a reversal. So, if you're, it might give you a pause day or something like that. But for all intents and purposes, right? This thing, is probably not a $20 stock, probably not a $30 stock. So it's test its way to the upside. So we'll see. A big move like today, I would expect at least a pause day tomorrow. But so with Slack, these, it depends where they price it, right? If they price it, I think Slack is pretty popular, right? But I don't know how profitable it is. I think like Pinterest, at least I think it's advertised. It does advertise. I'm not sure if Slack has ads in it. I don't know how they make money if it's free for everybody. So that being said, we'll do better than Lyft. It depends on what the price point is, right? Lyft was priced really high. So if they price Slack around $20 or something like that, $15, it could get a move, right? It could get a good move. But if they try to price it higher than Pinterest, Pinterest, this is the only, because of the value of it, right? Just the general price of it, just doesn't, it's not a $23 stock, right? It just doesn't make sense. So we'll see what Slack is, right? So that could be pretty interesting. I don't know where they're going to price it at yet. So we just keep an eye. Otherwise, we trade the 15 orb on it, but you'd have to do common shares on it, which is blah, right? So anyway, NetFry, what's going on? Any hope in AMD? Pardon me. I think all hope is lost. NetFry, let me see. So it had a rough day today. Look at that. Oh, nasty. Let's take a look at the daily here. Okay, it's holding a couple key levels right here. I know we had I think a double inside day or something like that recently. We had a lot of consolidation in here, so we'll see how it does. See how it holds that break. I think there's a gap here too at 2680, which looks like it could try that. So just keep that in mind, right? Otherwise, it could come back and retest the pivot band level, but some of these are getting beat. Oh, well, we got earnings tomorrow too, so I do not know. We will see what they say. It should be pretty interesting, but we'll definitely trade the 15 orb on it because AMD, when it's priced right, is really, really fun to trade. Vegan Donut Forever, what's going on, Google? So Google, we pretty much discussed that all day or all evening. So, but we'll just take one more quick look at it. But one of the things I just want to point out real quick is there is an open gap below. We're going to gap down to around. All right, we're going to gap down to around here. Okay, 1183.97, right? So we got to 1200. I think that gap could get filled, right? And then other than that, at that point, I think we might get a reversal back to the upside. I can't imagine this thing's going to push too much farther down tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see how that looks there. So, but I would expect that 1183 to fill before it reverses. So, Session, what's going on? Good to see you. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Appreciate the support. Okay, let's take a look at Baba. Okay, did that give us an inside day? It looks like it did. It did. So inside day in Baba. And let's see. It is holding. It is holding the these levels, right? We had a nice bull flag right here. Good break to the upside. Came back in. It's holding this pitchfork level right here. So I can't imagine going too crazy until after earnings, but it could get a pop, a little bit of earnings run before there. So that is looking interesting. ZS. Wow, really holding up really well. We've looked at this one. We had the pitchfork here, kind of held, broke out over volumetric resistance really well. Remember that this is your level right here. You want to hold the break inside day. Basically right here, break to the upside. Nice push through those opening levels. Came back, retested those levels. This is that high here, so you can see that right here. Retested it, came back up. So in general, bullish on this thing. I mean, it is, overall, it is in an uptrend, right? So, no question. Look at that nice, perfect trend line too over a couple. It might even reach down here, but. Nice trend line here. So if anything, any pullbacks to like 64 here, as long as it holds and gives you a reversal bar, you could test those highs again. So very nice on that one. Lulu, the stock is stretchier than their pants, but let's see, it's doing it. I mean, it's doing pretty good, right? Had this last, big gap up on earnings. That gap level right here, you can see I've already put the dotted line there so you can see it. Once it finally, Lulu is the type of stock that likes to test it like 2 or 3 times. So test, break, right? And at this point, hit 179, it might want to retest those levels to the downside. So like 172, I would look for a pullback to 172, and see what kind of price action you get down there. MDB. Let's see. MDB is looking interesting. We have this kind of pitchfork here, kind of held, bounced off of it. It's kind of consolidating a little bit right now. So I don't know. To me, like it looks like it might want to retest that pitchfork level one more time, like 125, and then give a possible shot to the upside. So that could be pretty interesting. Yeah, so good one session. Awesome. TuneFed, what's up, dog? Good evening. So BS, is this an alt ATH breakout after triple inside year on MDLZ? Nice. Let's see. MDLZ. Let's take a look. Wow. Let's go down to the quarterly and just see how that looks. So quarterly's been pretty choppy. I mean, it's really, the quarterly hasn't really shown much, right? It's had like a bunch of big red bars, right? And then bearish engulfing bar, and then it just launched to the upside. So that's pretty phenomenal there. The months, big month there. This was kind of like your key reversal bar on the weekly, right? You had a double hammers right bottom, 2B reversal, right? This is your bar that penetrates it, so break to the upside over that, or 4083. This was your entry right there to the long side. Let's take a look and see how that was on with the clouds too. Yep, so that was your break right here. Right, this week broke to the upside, broke over the cloud, up inside week, and then just all the way up since there. So pretty good price action on that one. Absolutely. Bruce, what's going on? Good to see you. Jay, what's up? Let's take a look at... Oh, lost my spot. Jay, let's take a look at MIME. Yep. So you have a reversal bar here at these highs, so just be careful up there. Nice. It held its open today, so that's really good. Held its previous gap, so it is working its way up. I would imagine some sort of consolidation day and then another push. But earnings coming up in a couple weeks, so you might get a little bit more on that one. There is some possibility there. TME. What is this? Is this a penny stock now? Oh no, it's done pretty good. Wow, it's really done pretty good. I took my eyes off of this for a while. We were doing a wave count on it, so we had 1, right? A, B, C, 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 3 complete. A, B, C, 4. Okay. I imagine this is going to work on a wave 5 up. So, and earnings might actually get it there. So this is looking pretty good. Let's see if it gets over this 18. 13 kind of level, and once it breaks there, you get 19, and then from there, could go back to the highs. I do like the wave count on this one. Pan W. I do like when those IPOs you can get they sort of just a lot of times they follow the books on it, right? So look what we got here, Shirley too. We have a nice cup handle. And then just need a breakout of this congestion zone right here. This is kind of like your handle, right? Your handle level. It looks like it's trying to. So if we can get a nice breakout of this handle here, it could push and get those highs. So that's looking really interesting. Nice. And then Yext. Another nice cup handle. Look at that. So we had this, I think we were stocking this at one point, so over the volumetric level. So we had this head and shoulders, right? Break to the downside, inverse head and shoulders right here, break to the upside, got through volumetric level, held, and is working its way back up. So, look for, we're in a congestion zone here too. So just be careful as it tries to get through there. But once it can get through this 22 level, I think 2350 is possible, and then it could work its way back up. So that looks pretty interesting. Jay, what was that about the options? Which options? Sorry, I say so much about options. So, but yeah, you have to just type that in later. I can't remember. I ramble, not ramble, but I talk a lot about options, right? So, Osama, I think there is a connection issue. Is there? Okay, I'm really sorry, guys. Skip that. Did we lose it? I hope everything's okay. Sorry, Osama, if we lost it. Yes, I could. I could recap those there. Right. Mohammed, what's going on? Good to see you. Ramesh. Okay, so J and J. Let's take a look. I think I can see this kind of coming through here. So, J and J, and Mohammed too, or Osama. If you want to, like, sometimes you just got to click on that little thing in YouTube and go to like a higher resolution. Sometimes that helps too. So, I've heard that before. So Ramesh, JMJ, it is J&J is just so complicated right now, right? Just the last time it was actually interesting is when they discovered kind of the awful news that came out, right? But it's kind of working its way back up. It is starting to pivot here at this pitchfork level, right? So it may kind of start to work its way back down. I'm not really seeing a lot of breakout action going on here. It was working on this triangle right here, overshot, undershot, back up, holding pitchfork. It's just this is a really complicated place to trade right now. So I'm really not really seeing it either direction at this point. But if anything, it might want to kind of retest 138, but that's not really tradable. It's not really set. I can't really see it setting up right now. So Mike, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you, man. Harvey, great stuff. Hey, my pleasure. Prayer Kid, what's up? Hey. Balada Kozman, how's it going? JCI. Earnings this week. Yeah, let's take a look. Johnson Controls. Okay. Looking interesting. What have we got with this thing? Okay, so this looks a little boring. Sorry, but let's see what it's doing here. Okay, so it's holding. Look at that. Look at how it held this whole fib fan like all the way up through that sort of like declining megaphone, right? It's all the way up here. So just be careful. It might be entering like kind of a resistance zone into earnings. With this one, I would wait until after. And if this is something you like to trade, if you trade this one before, I would try the 15 order method on it, right? Just trading that off of that first 15-minute bar, using a couple of techniques on that after earnings, right? But into earnings, I never recommend doing it, right? Unless you've been long from here and you've got some freebays to hold into it, right? So, Jimmy, what's going on? Glad you made it, man. Volume a little low. Volume up. Sorry about that, guys. I'm talking louder, but I don't know. I guess you get what we pay for, right? So eventually I'll upgrade my whole workstation and I'm really trying to work on optimizing the YouTube experience. So we're getting there. Get a better microphone and a new system and faster internet and all that stuff. But little by little. So if I get a chance, SNBR, sleep number. That's what I need is I need a good sleep number. Let's see. So here, let's just take a look, see how this is doing. This is the first time I think I've really analyzed this one. Wow, nasty breakdown on this one, right? So, bad earnings, continuing to push to the downside, retesting the fib fan level. If anything, this is still looking bearish, right? I wouldn't be afraid to short it to like $30.77, even possibly down at 29. Just keep a tight stop on it over the fib fan or something like that. But it is oversold. It doesn't mean it can't get more oversold. So maybe some consolidation. I mean, it is kind of in a prior congestion zone area. Let's just look for that. But if we can break it out of this box, it might move into this congestion zone area. And just kind of see how it handles in there. Excuse me. All right, so we have that. Okay, good. Very nice, very nice. But anyway, yeah. So just take a look at that. So possible. Suman, what's going on? Okta, no problem, my pleasure. So let's take a look at Okta. Mega bullish. Thing's a monster. So we've done a pitchfork on this one before. It's pretty much held the top, held the median, and then broke to the upside. A little bit of an undershoot, and then break back up. If anything here at these highs, I would look for a pullback to 96, and then I would imagine that would be constructive from there. So Shirley, what's going on? Shirley, you have a ton here, so I'm just gonna pick like 3 or 4 if that's okay with you. So I see you have a few financials on here, so I'm gonna pick the number one to look at, which is J.P. Morgan. Went without me. Look at that. So it had this this big gap up. Let's kind of zoom into that. So this is your gap up right here, guys. And we talk about this. So that bar is key, right? That level here, say like 112. Inside bar, break to the upside. That's where you go long. Stop at the bottom, right? So boom, hits your 112, breaks through that, and then you get to 114, right? Bull flag. We flagged this, haha, and then broke that to the upside too. So again, surely I would look for a little bit of a pullback here, and then I think your levels are good. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM seems to lead the market, right? So interestingly enough, it gave a pause day today. To me, it looks like a potential measured move to the upside here on the daily, right? So up, pause, and then a break to the upside. Look at these highs right here. So it's got to get through this congestion zone, and then it might work its way up. I don't know what I was doing there. So pretty interesting at that point, right? So this is a key resistance level. If I carry this over to the left here, if I activate this, look at that. That is your kind of key zone, right? So just like everything. But unlike, the S&P and all that stuff, it's not at its all-time highs. It's just, these levels, right? It still needs to push to get up here. So if it could get up there, that would, be pretty strong for the market. That also corresponds with the 161.8 retracement from this drop here to the low. So pretty interesting stuff right there. So break through that, surely I think it could be pretty powerful. Let's look at PayPal, and then I'll look at I guess I'll look at now after that. So PayPal. Wow, triple bottoms right here off of that volumetric level, and then it broke to the upside. So if anything here, pull back to the fib fan level, and then work its way back out. And then now, service now. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I was like, I thought we had analyzed this one before. Okay, so we have pitchfork here, really holding those levels. Gap back up. We had that. I was looking for a consolidation there through like a potential what do we say, pennant, right? And then it's already broken out to the upside. So very bullish, right? Very bullish setup. I still like pullbacks, buying on pullback. So it's hard to buy when it keeps breaking out like that. So but nice, great stuff. So NetPride, no problem, my pleasure. Vegan Donut, Xilinx. Cause the management is cheating on the previous. yeah, exactly. It's still good to trade even when the company's messed up. Yeah. But yeah, I know what were they doing? Like saying that they're doing Bitcoin and selling cannabis, like that type of thing. But yeah, now it's after that last report though, it made it actually tradable again. So it's been pretty fun to trade there. So did not get it follow through on its hammer from the other day. You gotta be kidding me. Here. All right, did not get follow through from this hammer from the other day, and in fact gave you an inside day. So just watch a break to the upside on this one. In fact, I'll put an alert on that too, because that could give I would love to have it push and fill that gap up there. So inside day up. Good stuff on that one. Nice, thank you, Vegan. Jimmy, what's up? Hey, appreciate you, Jimmy. Manoj, thank you. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a great night. Have an awesome trading day tomorrow. I'll tweet out a game plan tonight. And, thank you for all new subscribers to the newsletter. We got some great trade ideas that are out there. We've taken some trades today. Let's take a look real quick there, session. So Lyft. Well, had a day today. Did it get over 60? Got over 60. Starting to look constructive. So as long as it can hold over 60, I think it could work, right? I like Lyft. I think they're a pretty good company. So, I'd rather drive in a Lyft car than an Uber car. But anyway, that's all here and there, right? So anyway, if it holds above today's levels, it might there's a nice little volume air pocket there. It might get up to like 65, 66, something like that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to all subscribers of the newsletter. Thanks for everything, and have a great night. And remember, when you're trading, always remember your risk first, so you can stay safe and stay in the game. I will talk to you guys later, and have a good night.